Hello, my name's Colin Crithers, and I'm a student reporter and broadcaster at the University of Iowa. As a journalist, my job is to tell stories, while also balancing everything else going on in my life as a student. But no one tells our stories. So, my goal is to tell the stories of the student journalists, broadcasters, and storytellers all across the country. Let's walk the student beat. Welcome in. Today, we're walking the student beat with John Grove of Kansas State. John, thank you for joining me today. How are you?
I'm doing good, man. I'm doing good. We've had this we had this on our schedule for quite some time, and we had it at several different locations. Didn't work out the first time. The internet was pretty low in Ireland. But it's always a pleasure. And getting to meet you as well. It's been a blast so far for sure.
Absolutely. It's been amazing to meet you as well. And then for those listening in, to meet you a little bit more, go ahead and give a background to yourself and some of the journalistic outlets you work with.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm going into my final year at Kansas State. I'll be graduating in December 2025. So right now, I am the production director at our student radio station, Wildcat 91.9, which is where I am currently situated. But I help out manage the audio production, things like the intros, liners, bumpers, 30-second spots, which are different from commercials because we're more of an underwriting radio station. We're a nonprofit organization as well on campus. But outside of that, I write part-time for Kansas State's 24/7 sports site, GoPowercat. That started as a summer internship, but I've grown into a regular role where I'll be contributing throughout the football season and possibly the basketball season as well. I also do some freelancing for the Manhattan Mercury, which is the city newspaper as well, which gives me the chance to cover more community-focused stories, especially in high school sports. It's been a really good mix of working with the campus media and also gaining experience with the local media as well. I've lived here for the last 22 years, and there's been a whole lot of opportunities around me for sure.
Yeah, it's amazing. There's some cool stuff in there, and I think there's gonna be some cool stories to come out of it as well. But I first want to learn about your story getting into sports journalism. What was it, maybe whether it was high school growing up, that really drew you into thinking this is something I want to do?
Yeah, if I'm going to be honest, I didn't really picture myself going into journalism at first, and even heading into my senior year of high school as well. It wasn't something I thought as a career path. And at my high school, but like as big as the school is, Manhattan only has one big high school as well. But there weren't many broadcasting or journalism opportunities outside of the student newspaper. But that changed during the pandemic. When attending several of the sporting event games. They were very sparse, very limited. Student attendance was limited, so it was just the attendance in general. So our advisor, I'll give her a shout out, Christy Knipe. She saw an opening to start broadcasting some games, and a classmate invited me to help call some basketball games as well. At first, it was challenging. We had to navigate COVID regulations, like calling a game, like wearing those plastic face shields, and it was golly, I mean, it was really hard. It was really difficult. You had to put on some, it got a little bit lighter, but we still had to wear the mask as well. But as we got the hang of it, it turned into something really special. And, we had students not only just covering games, but we also had students running cameras, helping behind the scenes as well. Some who just wanted to pursue the same path as me, and others who just wanted to be a part of making something like this happen with all these broadcasts. But I think what it boils down to is that sometimes the best opportunities come when feel things uncertain or even difficult as well. And if you're willing to jump in, figure it out, you can discover a path. And that's both unexpected at times, which is definitely one of the main mantras in journalism, but it's also rewarding at the same time. And that's when I realized journalism was the right fit for me for sure.
Do you feel like that's something about who you are in general, that you're just willing to jump in and try new things?
Yeah. Yeah, I actually just had a class recently that kind of went deep into this. A lot of times there's people around this world thinking with a little bit of a narrow perspective, and at certain times back in the past that was me as well. But I tend to become a little bit more open-minded. Trying to think outside of a bubble and try and reach out because journalism it's a part of storytelling, and we're out there going out there and getting trying to get some of the best coverage you can of telling these stories as well. And um I think I think That's actually now that I'm thinking about it. Student journalism often gets to take the lead and create opportunities for themselves and learn by actually doing, which is an incredible way to develop a professional competence and experiential underwriting as well. But it's a whole different thing as well, when you get to tell these stories in the way that you're able to help expand on your audience too.
Yeah, no, I thank you for that. Now let's I would completely agree with that. I like the idea of just being able to almost like as a student have a little bit more freedom and take care of some stories in a completely different angle than I think some other outlets could.
Yeah, absolutely. It's been a blast. Like I said, this was kind of one, but this was journalism. I wasn't heavily intending on going approaching towards. I was going to be more towards graphic design, but part of it also just involved not just getting to tell these stories as well, but also it combines two of my favorite hobbies as well, which is sports, getting to cover sports, and traveling as well. Traveling. We always get to do a lot of traveling, with the family. So I get to combine several of his interests as well. And there's some nuances there, but I didn't get the hang out the first time around. But it's been really rewarding. I feel like I get the best of both worlds when it just comes to getting these opportunities for sure.
Yeah, traveling is a really nice perk of what we do. We've had some pretty cool travel experiences in my like for myself or other people I know that I work with and on this show specifically. But you recently were just in Ireland for the Kansas State Iowa State game over there. Talk to me about what that experience was like and what you were there for.
Yeah, so for about 14 days, I spent a little bit of a study abroad class in Ireland, but they also did a little bit something new, and that was allow some of the student broadcasters to call the Aer Lingus College Football Classic game between K-State and Iowa State, which isn't probably very popular in your neck of the woods, but it was incredible. It was incredible. Spending 14 days, and a big portion of that has been not just not just knowing uh not just preparing for the moment, but there's been a lot of anticipation building, but a ton of behind the scenes work to make sure that everything runs smoothly. And before we got on the plane, we had to carefully prepare all audio equipment like 2 days, 3 days before, just make sure that, the tie line's working, the roadcaster's working in case we need backup, headsets are good. The IT equipment as well, just to make sure that we got our connection from Manhattan. Um, but we also got a sideline mic too. It's just so many things, just capturing the game day atmosphere. Leading into it, there's some pep rallies going on. Every piece of gear had to be checked and organized for travel. Since bringing professional audio equipment and flights is challenging and it requires a lot of details and planning. But the preparation began back in the fall, in the winter last year, and coordinating logistics. It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy, but it's all worth it. Being able to broadcast live from Ireland and bringing the excitement of a game back to K-State and Manhattan, especially when it comes to a student radio perspective, because it's not only just a once in a lifetime opportunity for us, but it's also a once in a lifetime opportunity for many student broadcasters who may have not got to witness that opportunity yet. But it was a blast, and I got to do color for the game. We had two color people. Shout out to Jimmy Kaufman. He was really laying things down when I was starting to get under the weather, which is another thing as well. Like, we were supposed to do it last week, this interview last week as well, but I came back from Ireland a little under the weather, so sorry about that. Um, but we had two color broadcasters. We also had a play-by-play guy, and Adrian Holguin and Sophie Smith on the sideline as well. So we had a complete set prepared, a complete crew, and I think all the hard work, without a doubt, has paid off for sure.
That's such a cool experience getting out there. You kind of brought up the behind the scenes, how much more goes into that than most people would have realized. I mean, first of all, I wouldn't have guessed preparing since last fall, last winter, but then getting there, getting all the equipment there, and then just being there in general. What other things did you notice that like a normal, typical viewer would not see behind the scenes that goes into your prep work?
That's a good question. Are you just talking about from a general standpoint, or are you talking about from a from this experience alone?
I think, well, I think from a general standpoint, I'd be interested to hear about you with going into a broadcast, but with that experience too, going to Ireland, it's got to be, I feel like, a lot more that goes into it.
Yeah, I'll talk a little bit more on the Ireland standpoint, mostly because it provided a real world challenge that goes through beyond the classroom or the campus radio booth. But in several ways, it builds confidence. You know, it sharpens skills like quick thinking, adapting on the fly, and teaches what it truly means to deliver a broadcast under unique circumstances. When at times it also just felt like a regular radio broadcast too for just a general football game between two local rivals going at it for sure. But that I mean that kind of experience just stands out on a resume, and we here at Wildcat 91.9, while we don't have the credentials, well, the school credentials in terms of class credits, but it opens the door for future career opportunities, whether it's in sports broadcasting, media related journalism or related fields as well. It's a formative step in a student's broadcaster's career that could shape their careers, the path and developmental skills that last a lifetime. But as far as a regular broadcast goes, of course you got to get the spotter charts prepared as well. Maybe talk to an insider or two. It also helps if you attend a press conference as well, because that's when you get some really good quotes from the coaches and the players, um, and even talk with some familiar people in the media as well. It never hurts to continue further connecting with several peers like we're doing right now, and again, just expanding your horizons a little bit and opening up your bubble for sure.
Yeah, I'm really curious, and there might be nothing on this, but did you notice like any really unique differences between calling a football game in Ireland than you would normally just at a home game for Kansas State?
I think I think more so just the build up for it, because calling a game in Ireland as a student broadcaster, it's incredibly rare, and again, a unique opportunity. I can go on for a long for so long about it, but we had articles coming out about it. We had even local news stations, but the NBC station out of Topeka did an interview with our chief operator Andrew Smith, who made this all possible. By the way, it's a huge shout out to him. But it's not, I would say, again, it's more stepping into a professional environment and handling a broadcast with all the excited, all the excitement, because week zero, I mean, but week zero game is always a spotlight. And doing it in Ireland against a conference rival, top 25 game, the first top 25 game in the history of the event in Ireland, it just it just continues to add so much excitement. And with that, comes a lot of unpredictability, but also just knowing what you need to do to take the next steps when being overseas, and treat it as such. But I did have a feeling it felt a little more significant from our standpoint because it hasn't been done before.
That makes
Even
sense. I would assume
yeah.
it'd be similar to like a bowl game to where there's festivities going on and the team attends this event or that event. Was there like maybe a favorite event or festivity that went on over there outside of the game itself?
We spent 14 days in Dublin. If I'd have to guess, the K-State pep rally certainly stand out. Of course, getting to hear but one of the radio greats at K-State and Wyatt Thompson introduce the players, the fans. Yeah, I mean, even the band was there. It was fantastic as well. I would have to say we also spent 3 days in Galway as well, just on an unrelated term. That might have been my favorite time spent over there because it gave the vibes of Manhattan a little bit. But as far as anything leading up to it, might have to say the pep rally was one. I also got to interview ESPN's Dusty Dvorak and got his thoughts on not just the game itself, but also just the experience of being in Europe, being in Ireland as well, and talking about what the Big 12 must do in order to kind of keep in arm's length with the Big 10 and the SEC. But um, it's it's been a blast. It's been a blast. Not to mention, I had the color guy, K-State Stan Weber, overlook my shoulder, and also got to do a little color commentary while I was playing Retro Bowl on the App Store as well. So that's certainly an experience I'll take away for sure. But there's just so much that came out of it, and like I said, experiences like this are just huge, ginormously valuable for student broadcasters without a doubt.
Yeah, that's amazing. There's no way I could move past without asking you about the whole Ireland experience because again, that is truly a once in a lifetime for a student journalist specifically to go be able to call that game. So that is really cool there. You brought up again, like we've talking about the student radio and you dove into it a little bit, but again, for people who might not know what student radio looks like, give a little bit of look at what your student radio is, what you do there, and how it benefits you.
Yeah, so I mentioned this kind of right off the bat, but I'm currently the production director at our station, and I help out manage a lot of the audio production and what comes out on the air for Wildcat 91.9. Whether it's sports intros, I'm currently working on a script for the upcoming Army game as well. So there's a lot of nuances, a lot of pomp and circumstances with this game coming up because it is the soldier appreciation game. We call it Fort Riley Day, but in many ways, it's going to be the Fort Riley soldiers who have had this long partnership with K-State. They're going to be on the Army side of things, which I think it's going to be really cool. So a lot of storylines will be coming into there. Make sure that's getting all addressed. Um, we also got 30-second spots that we're also putting up as well, whether it's just for underwriters who are pouring in some cash to the station as well, which is a whole different thing as well because you want to talk about the separation between student radio and just the journalistic aspect too. When it comes to nonprofit radio, it is a little bit more of a difficult spot. So we tend to have the opportunity to go around the local area and get some of the sponsor, well, not necessarily sponsors, but the underwriters to help come up with some spots. And if we're able to promote it on the air, that's kind of more my thing. I help prepare the scripts, add the sound effects, the voices for it too, and just and even the what we got for lineups as well. I do a sports talk show every Monday night, called the Cat Attack. So I already have a promo set up for that. We got sports talk for up a week. Um, let me think about it. We got daily talk shows. We got news happening daily as well. So it's just a whole lot of things. And as a production director, it's more about just making sure everyone's finding a little bit more of a smooth, fluid motion of what's happening around Manhattan, what's happening in regards to sports, what's happening with talk shows, and making sure it all sounds smooth and beautiful. That was kind of a difficult way of putting it, but yeah,
No,
for
I mean
sure.
it is because student radio. I mean, it's just so general. There's so much that you can get out of it. We've talked about it a few times on the show before too. But like, I'll always say that student radio. I think there's so many opportunities and so many different ways for people to go with it.
Yeah. And what I like about Kansas State and why I chose Kansas State is because of the opportunities that they're able to present, not just with student radio, but we even have a multimedia asset as well that we're starting to kind of conglomerate together with a TV station that we're starting to kind of get up and running a little bit with Channel 8, which is on the other side of campus, but we're trying to kind of merge those entities together as well. We also got student newspaper called the K-State Collegian as well, in which I've got to make several connections there, write an article or two. Um, and then we also got Wildcat Watch, in which it's students participating and a lot of video aspects and how how they're able to come out with some additional video production aspects too. There's K-State HDTV, which is the ESPN Plus outlet that I used to work for as well. That's actually probably one of the cooler experiences as well because ESPN Plus, and even just ESPN broadcast in general, you'll just typically have the people who have done it before, just the producers, the people who are in charge of the graphics, the EBS replays. You have to have a lot of trained prospects for it. But what I like about HDTV is that it opens the opportunity for a lot of students who want to get involved more with the ESPN broadcasts. I got the chance to do some of the graphic bugs. I got to do some of the shading of the cameras. I took over for camera during one of the games as well. that was another opportunity that opened up for me, and of course I mentioned it before. I've been blessed to do some coverage for our 24/7 sports website at K-State, and also freelancing for the local newspaper as well. So like I said, just so many opportunities, not just within the campus, but also getting the experience in the local market. It's a great way to just continue building up your resume, and I'll certainly have a lot to boast on my resume as well once when I'm done here at K-State.
Yeah, that's a big thing. The more you can add on, the better, right?
Absolutely.
I want to talk a little bit more about your experience with 247 Sports. You mentioned at the top of the show, you started off as an internship, a summer internship, but you're still doing stuff with them. So, how did you get in with your foot in the door there, and how has it continued with for you?
Yeah, so back in the summer, I was looking for several internship opportunities, and at one point, I didn't necessarily think that 24/7 Sports would be open to student internships, and it was really one that they never necessarily got accustomed to. But the publisher Tim Fitzgerald um, is a huge advocate when it comes to student broadcasting and student journalism opportunities, and he was able to give me the green light to cover K-State throughout the summer. Whether I was attending several summer camps, in which the summer camps was mostly just let me think. It was more so just looking at several of the recruits that were in town, getting to know some of the prospects, getting to know what they thought of Kansas State and their thoughts on the coaching staff. And at that point, I mean, the summer is just really known for what like when the commitments are going to starting to keep on popping up here and there, left and right. We were keeping a head on a swivel in regards to that. Also attended Big 12 Media Days in Frisco, Texas. Um, Myself, Tim Fitzgerald, and Ryan Gilbert as well. Ryan Gilbert is a spoiled little noob if he's listening to this as well. Just throwing that out there. Um, has a huge sort of affectionate relationship with Mason Rudolph, even though he's never met the guy. Anyways, um, yeah, but Big 12 Media Days, we spent Big 12 Media Days 3 days in Frisco, Texas, getting the chance to talk with some of the players and the coaches as well, not just with K-State, but also with um, the surrounding teams in the Big 12 conference, which is another great way to kind of know more about the media circle as well, just opening up your connections furthermore to possible opportunities down the road. Maybe if I'm doing some stuff in Ames, Iowa in the future, I don't know. I don't know, but it's just great to know that there's a lot of people that are there for the same reason, and that's just to to cover the greatest stories that is in the world of the Big 12 and in college football. So I was able to get some stuff out of there. Big 12 Media Days, also attending. Let me think. What have I done during the summer as well? There's also this basketball tournament called the TBT, the basketball tournament, where it's you got several non you got it's more so like clubs and organization type of teams that played for $1 million. And K-State always tends to have a team every year, which consists of a lot of alums on the squad. And I got to cover it in Kansas City for 2 days as well. So that's been a blast. I was in charge of the message boards. But as far as the general content goes as well, we're kind of we're really digging in deep with football, and I got the chance to I'm in charge of the Upon Further Reviews segment, which is um, in several ways right now, based on the start K-State has had in the first two games. I'm in charge of rewatching the two games and seeing if there's anything that stood out after watching it the first time and comparing it to a second time, what I missed, what maybe stood out as well. So there's that. I've been doing some Big 12 content stuff just to see what's going on across the Big 12 content segments here, like where I would give the where I would say what's a game of a week, and I think for week two, by the time we're recording this, I got Iowa and Iowa State playing as well, so that's a little bit of a nod there. But um, it's been great, and I I feel forever blessed for Tim Fitzgerald for giving me this additional opportunity to just continue building on my resume, because that's just one of the things that I love doing, especially, I mean, not just from a journalistic standpoint, but I've been in Manhattan for 22 years. You know, my sister was a K-State student. My dad was a former volleyball assistant at Kansas State as well. So it's not only just getting to know more about the university as well, and just seeing what additional opportunities there are, but getting to know more about the people who all make it possible, whether it's just the players, the coaches, even athletic director Gene Taylor, President Richard Linton. It's always a great aspect just knowing what's out there as well. And one of the things I've always said about Kansas State is that it's not the it gives a big college vibe atmosphere, but it's also in a small college town in which you're able to go around, meet a whole lot of familiar faces, and especially with GoPowercat and the offer that was there, it gave me the opportunity to continue expanding on my bubble a little bit, but also meeting the nuances and the familiar faces there every day, almost weekly as well.
I think those are some of the coolest stories that you can tell, is the ones that aren't obvious, that aren't known to everyone. Is there maybe a specific story that you've written or told that is you'd go back on and like, yeah, that's my favorite that I've written about?
That was my favorite. Would it be specifically with the 24/7 website, or would it
Yeah,
be?
it's like anything that you've written, whether it's 247 or the local newspaper, maybe a specific story that you wrote that is your favorite.
Yeah, yeah, no, absolutely. So, um, we got I am actually later today I'm covering the tennis team as well, but I used to play a tennis player back in high school as well, and I've always built this connection with Coach Tony Ingram, so much to the point now where we've become great buddies, and every time when the local newspaper needs me to provide some assistance when they're a little bit tight on the employees on what they're doing, I always get the chance to cover the tennis team, whether it's the boys team or the girls team. But they were running a little bit low on some employees to cover the state championships in Junction City, which is not that far away. It was only 20 or 30 minutes. So I thought I'd ask them, hey, I mean, you guys may be a little bit short on hand. Do you need someone to attend? Because I was going to go regardless, just to see what was going on. I got a close friend who was a state title contender as well. So I thought I'd check it out, see what's going on. But they decided, hey, do you want to cover this opportunity? And we'll kind of include it in your resume a little bit. Decided to go for it. Decided to travel to Junction City, meet up with the coaches, and get to watch some of the players. Really windy on the first day. It was super windy. I don't know what. I'm not the best meteorologist out there, but it had to be like 30 to 40 miles per hour, super windy. I don't know. I don't know if that sounded correct or not. But you know, with the state atmosphere as well, when you're playing in the state championships, especially for a senior, you know, you have you had 2 days left to really leave a mark on your career. And one of my favorite stories was getting to know more about this number two singles player for Manhattan. His name is Adviv. And Adviv is kind of more of a quiet guy, just takes a little bit of a nicer approach and does things a little bit more. It takes the lead more by example, not really one of the vocal leaders, but on day one and day two, yeah, he racked up several big wins. But as the final matches are coming down the stretch, the endurance was getting on to him a little bit. He was getting fed up, and his opponent was calling him out because, oh well, that shot was clearly in bounds, or oh well, that forehand was clearly out of bounds. And Advif, he was not happy. He was just about to lash out, and I'm just thinking to myself, holy cow. I've had some meltdowns before, but state championship tennis is on a whole different level before, as well. And then let me think. But number one singles guy, for Manhattan, Advis was a two singles guy. Jay Hoke was the number one singles guy, and I got the chance to cover him as well. Blisters on his feet, running back and forth around the court, beat some of the top players in the state, a lot of which originate from Kansas City. And he again, the blisters played one part, but he also went through a lot of tennis rackets as well. Like because tennis rackets made out of string, once when you get like the wear and tear effect, but tennis ball will tend to break a string at times. And for his sakes, he broke around 3 or 4 tennis rackets, and to the point where he had to use his mom's tennis racket. So I got to see that in person. And similar to Adviv, he was getting exhausted as well. So um, they were really cool with me though. I built those connections before, and I haven't seen more. I haven't seen match play overall from them, and especially when it mattered most at the state championships. So I thought it was just really cool to witness, not just those guys, but also just a lot of guys that do what I've always been passionate about in playing tennis as well. So I'm hoping to cover more high school sporting events, but the state tennis championship back in the spring really stood out to me for sure.
Talk to me a little more about using his mom's tennis racket. I'm very interested in this. So there's no way it was. Tell me he switched out between competitions. It wasn't in the middle that he broke it and had to ask for a new racket that his mom had.
Yeah, so he actually, well, for tennis as well. If you don't have a spare racket on you, you have to try and find some alternative options. And he already ran through 3 or 4 rackets, 3 or 4 rackets. I don't know how that happens, but he didn't have any rackets left. So then he asked his mom whether or not she can go to her car and potentially get some additional rackets as well. She was able to do so. Again, this was in very windy weather as well. So I mean, the wind was just blowing on their faces throughout the entire match. His hat just kept on falling everywhere he goes. But he got the spare tennis racket. It might have been one spare racket or 2 spare rackets from his mom, and I believe I think he was around the seventh seed, but he was able to, but he upset some top 4 players in Kansas City as well. And I thought it was just so cool that no matter how bad the grind gets, you just always continue to dig deep, man. He just always continues to dig deep despite all the circumstances, blistered feet, broken strings. He just kept on pushing, 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 and it always pays off. It's really
That's
cool.
that's an
Really cool.
amazing story.
It's one of those stories in which you got to be there to just to witness it.
Mm.
I mean, it may not sound further further insane as some may indicate, and believe me, I'm not in terms of in person, I'm not the best when it comes to giving overlayered detailed stories, but you got to be there to see it. It was just one of the most bizarre settings I've ever encountered for sure.
I've I've been to a few. Like I'm not. I know I'm not the biggest tennis guy. I didn't play it growing up or anything. But like even like our high school tennis or like covering a few of the tennis matches up here at Iowa. I don't know if I've ever. I think I've seen someone had to replace a racket like once, and so I heard that like getting it new, and I was really interested about that too. I feel like yeah, that would be really. I don't know if interesting or cool is the right word to use, but exactly as you said, something to witness, 100%.
Yeah, well, replacing one racket is one thing
Yeah.
because like I said, if you already used it so many times to the point where the strings are just ready to give out, then no big deal. If you have an additional racket, you can just take it out. But the way they play tennis anywhere, especially in the pros as well, like breaking strings is just common, but
Mhm.
I mean, forehands, backhands, they'll at a very accelerated pace.
Mhm.
And he had to burn for 3 or 4 rackets, 3 or 4 rackets, some of which he might have never played with as well. I don't know if he played with those back in the past, but it was so bad to the point where he had to use his mom's strings. And who knows if I mean, looking down the line, who knows if those would have worked as well. Now, ultimately, those worked. It was fantastic, and he was able to complete the match, finish the match, and go out with a lot of wins under his belt. But if his mom's strings didn't work, what would have happened down the line? Would he have to ask some of his competitive peers to ask for some rackets? I don't know. It was just one of the most bizarre scenes that I've covered as well. But hopefully the entire experience is great, and um, just a whole lot of things that I missed out as a tennis player, just missing the grind that is playing tennis and just how upsetting it could be because believe me, I had some meltdowns playing high school tennis back in my career as well. So But it's a blast. It's a blast, and that was an experience I won't ever forget. And it was also one that opened me to potentially now do some additional coverage with girls tennis. I'm doing an interview later today with the same coach. I'm in men's tennis later in the spring, boys tennis later in the spring. And hopefully some additional high school sports stories as well. Maybe some high school football if we're able to sprinkle in some as well. So shout out to Tim Everson and Toby Hamas out of the Manhattan Mercury for giving me that opportunity.
Yeah, it's an amazing. I'll hear all those stories from my. I'll shout out my mom real quick because she would play. She played tennis throughout the end of
Yeah.
high school, I believe, and she tells me all the same stories about everything. It is a grind. I went to play with her once, and she taught me a few lessons out there. I can admit that. And, yeah,
Always make sure to wear double socks. Always make sure to wear double socks, not just one layer of socks, but you got to wear two layers of socks, or else you'll be dealing with a lot of foot aches, and you'll probably need a cold shower as well.
at the very least, I would. At the very least, that.
And that's just for tennis as well, man. I can't imagine. Like I played several sports in the past, like for little Rex leagues and everything. But if you, I mean, as far as what we're covering a lot, and that's college football, college basketball. I mean, that's some serious grinding. That's some serious tough grinding that the guys will always tend to do. And it's crazy, not just with the resources that they have built now at several of these schools like K-State and Iowa, but as far as just the training goes as well, with how they're able to prepare, how they're able to the nutrition at K-State is also off the charts as well, and just cooling them off as well. They had two cold showers, two cold baths as well that you're able to sit in as well. Just so many nuances now compared to what we've seen back in the 80s when K-State's equipment looked more like high school recreational stuff, which was yeah, the program was not the best place at the time.
Good to see some growth, though. Good to see some growth there. I mean, there's a lot, especially those non-rev college sports. The growth in a lot of those obviously is good for every aspect of it, but it's also just pretty impressive.
Yeah. Absolutely. And you know, kind of going back to where it was just with the equipment standpoint. Um, the football program at K-State was in a bad spot in the 80s, and it was so much so I think they had three consecutive winless seasons under the previous head coach, but then Bill Snyder, a former assistant under Hayden Fry out of Iowa, comes into Manhattan, Kansas, and just completely turns that program around in a heartbeat. You know, start off with one win, then it goes to two wins, three wins. You get your first conference win on around 94, and then ultimately, a few years down the road, you're almost at the top of the world. And K-State was at one point. They were number one, number two in the country, and they were one conference championship game away from playing for all the marbles, but they lost to Texas A&M in 1998. But I think that was really when Kansas State University, not just with the athletic department itself and the improvement in the Olympic sports came into play, but it was more so of just when the university became more prevalent on the national picture. Because without Bill Snyder, I may have not been here doing what I'm doing right now. And that's just covering the sports that I loved growing up watching as well. So it's been great. It's been great, and that's kind of the same picture here with Iowa under head coach Hayden Fry as well. When Iowa was struggling in years past, when Hayden Fry just comes in, has Bill Snyder. I think Bob Stoops came in as an assistant at one point as well, and now you got Kirk Ferentz there, still reeling and dealing with Iowa. They may have a little bit of an offense now, which is a good sign. But yeah, no, it's really great to see how similar some of these programs are as far as where they are and how they're able to build their programs up to go along with that too.
You're 100% right with it. I like that you brought up Hayden Fry there because, I mean, the coaching tree for him is ridiculous. I mean, obviously, yeah, Bob Stoops was there under him, Kirk Ferentz, Bill Snyder. I think Brett Bielema has a connection.
Yep.
Gosh, I mean, Barry Alvarez.
Brent Venables.
Yeah, no, that coaching tree is ridiculous,
And
and it's insane to talk about. Yeah, I mean, it's the whole thing of like about each of those guys stepped into a program that was struggling and turned it around. That's exactly what Iowa's situation was. It was a struggling football program, Hayden Fry, turned into something relevant.
I'll give you a little bit of an insight as well as regards to the K-State PowerCat logo as well.
Hmm.
That logo was inspired by the Iowa Hawkeye Tiger Hawk logo as well, where you got kind of like the additional layer from the bottom to the top, where it's a little more two-dimensional, a little bit choppy as well. But um, it's that kind of really was the start of a renaissance for K-State, where you try to revitalize a program that was down in the dumps. You didn't necessarily have a full identity. Picture this as well. Your top bar district on your school campus, you have students from around in the 80s or 90s. They were ashamed of wearing a Letterman's jacket or any kind of specific gear for K-State back in the day. But that Power Cat was just the spark of something that became very much possible, much like the Iowa Tiger Hawk that is today. Um, just it resembles a tackling process, improving every day and winning each practice, win each rep, and that's exactly what Snyder has improvised at K-State. That's what he helped build with Hayden Fry at Iowa as well, for sure. But it just like I said, it's very interesting with the nuances as well. Just with the two programs as well. Not just from a culture standpoint, but even you just looking at the little details there that just make it all possible.
So there's a pretty good reason why I like the Kansas State logo. Then now it's a little bit more obvious to me why I like it so much.
That and it's not crimson and gold and whatever they had down the road in Ames.
They won't ever wear it anyways.
Yeah, they don't. Comparison's a thief of joy, man. I mean, they always go out with the blackout uniforms. Every time when they play K-State at home, they always wear the blackout uniforms, and those are Iowa's colors, man. Those are Iowa's colors, and ever since Matt Campbell came in, Matt Campbell he's one of my favorite coaches in the Big 12, and I think Rocco Becht has essentially become one of my favorite quarterbacks. Getting to watch all time as well, but. You gotta dump the blackouts, man. It's just ridiculous. Stick to the crimson helmets, trying to make it as beautiful as possible, and maybe Iowa State's doing that this weekend, but it gets ridiculous. It gets ridiculous. I don't know. That might be the rivalry side of me just kicking in, but yeah, it's Iowa
Hey,
State.
you said it all for me. I didn't have to say anything. I didn't have to say anything. I'll agree with like Matt Campbell and Rocco Becht objectively are incredible. And like I was telling you right before we started the recording, when the rumors in the offseason for the NFL were that Matt Campbell might interview for the Chicago Bears job, I was kind of deep down as an Iowa fan, not even as an Iowa reporter, praying that he would go there so that it would be a little easier game in Iowa's favor. But now that we're at the week between the Cyclones and the Hawkeyes, I have, I mean, objectively, Iowa State should be the better team, but I have no idea how this is going to go. I think I'll say it on here is by the time this is up, our pregame show will be up. I'm going to pick Iowa to win this game, and I'm going to do it genuinely thinking they might win this game because I don't know, I think it's going to be sloppy. I think it's going to be sloppy, but yeah, I mean, you said it all for me. I didn't have to
I
say.
mean, those are the kind of games you anticipate with Iowa and Iowa State because I mean, you're just talking about two very physical defenses going at one another. It's always one of those low scoring games. Even last year's low scoring game in Iowa City, low scoring, even with Iowa State's comeback as well.
Mhm.
And it's also just two programs that don't make too many mistakes as well. Sure, we can laugh at the Iowa offense back in the day, but it seems as if they were able to pick things up. But the discipline has been always there with the two programs as well. And again, we're just attacking the process and improving every day. It feels as if that's kind of been the mantra for Iowa State every year is just continuing to improve with what you have possible. But not just the guys that you are able to bring in, but also the guys that you're able to keep as far as NIL goes these days in college sports.
Yeah, I think that program for Iowa State is definitely. I shouldn't say definitely, but it's probably in the best spot it's been at least in my lifetime, even like in the past 2 decades. They've had some really good years, but I think this is probably where they're really climbing, as you were saying.
Yeah, yeah, it's okay, Colin. It makes me sick to my stomach as well. I'm
Yeah,
saying that as well. So I'm sorry I kind of threw you under the bridge with
okay,
that.
it's okay. You know what? We're trying to pick it up for both of us this weekend. I'll be in Ames, so I will be on scene praying that things can turn around from last year's game because I mean I was there for that game covering it, and if you remember how that game ended, it was a walk off field goal from
It
Iowa
was
State,
it was Kyle Camardi. He nailed a 50 something yard field goal. But
and that was yeah, I was right under that goalpost
yeah.
filming it and
Oh man.
getting on trying to get on the field, get extra shots at the same time thinking there's no way I just watched that go over my head. Oh,
Yeah, man, that's some tough stuff, especially when you're kind of seeing him. And I mean, did you notice yourself on the CBS broadcast or anything when that field goal went through? Or
I think when I looked at it back, I was actually curious, could I see myself? And I think you can for like a brief moment. Not like I think when it's going up, you can see me off to the side, but as it falls through, it's zoomed in enough that you can't. Um, so I didn't get that part, which I think I'm fine with.
yeah,
But yeah, no, that was definitely tough in that moment. I
yeah.
remember how quiet Kinnick Stadium was after that.
Oh man, I mean, if it makes you feel any better, I'm not feeling any better about Kansas State right now. I mean, if I'd never felt more at loss from a morale standpoint after a win. They barely survived against North Dakota, 38-35, but the game had disaster written all over it. And if North Dakota had a first down, um, I don't know if I'd be able to recover to the point where I'd hop on, and you'd probably be making a lot of fun of what's
Uh,
going on. But yeah, it was the team lacked a lot of discipline. And I don't know if it came from the trip in Ireland as well, but it looked flat. It wasn't an excuse for Iowa State because they blasted South Dakota, but I don't know. I don't know. I'm the K-State defense is looking like Iowa's offense.
no.
If that's just anything where, or maybe like Lincoln Riley's USC or Oklahoma squad sort of a day. It's mistakes piled up, prolonging drives. I could go on forever. I could go on forever.
We both probably could with them. We're gonna hope for the best on Saturday from the
Yep.
Iowa Hawkeyes. We'll be 100% honest. But I want to ask you about we've done this for a few years, both of us. We talked about our experience as student journalists. Why do you think it's so important for just a normal viewer or the outside person to pay attention to what student journalists are doing?
As far as the outsider goes, and why they think it's important, well, I just look at it as, you know, this is an industry that is continuing to change. Whether it's just through print into social media, but there's just so many things that are changing about it here, Colin. I mean, we have the opportunity of making some crazy stuff possible just with student broadcasting on its own, going to Ireland, but it's crazy. It's crazy. You have students now being able to formative world that we're living in right now in journalism, where it's become less of print, more of technology, maybe a little less informal, than being a little bit more kind of showing the biases and perspectives as well. It's become an incredible way to develop just professional competence, experiential understanding, but it's also another way to just expand on your growth as well, and just learning how you're able to comprehend what's going on around you for sure. And I realized that this goes beyond sports. It's a life lesson as well. You can play the part people tend to expect and follow the rules and observe from the sidelines of a press box, but real growth happens when you're willing to show who you truly are, being yourself, speaking your mind, and owning your perspective. It isn't always comfortable, and sometimes you got to live by the general broadcasting standards, but at some point, especially in this day and age, old habits die hard. And it's the only way to build trust and to find your voice, making an impact among others as well. I think sports for sure, as far as journalism go, it makes the lesson more clear, more authenticity as well. I think that matters, whether it's on or off the field. And I think that's where I feel more so like myself, where I can be honest without sugarcoating it and share what's on my mind and what's going on around me.
Yeah, and maybe it is the perspective and authenticity part of this, but for someone who is new or wanting to hop into sports journalism, what would be your biggest piece of advice for them?
Biggest piece of advice? That's a good question. Just open up those opportunities. I don't care whether it's just with with people around you or just expanding on your connections. Find other ways to expand on your journalism expertise, whether it's through newspaper, whether it's through camera, or whether it's helping out with several events. Maybe if it's just with broadcasting and radio, so many opportunities for you to get involved more specifically to find what your niche is, find what your expertise is. What do you enjoy the most when it comes to anything like that? Because if you're listening to this broadcast right now, or just a stream with Colin and I, you're probably intrigued to know how can I get more involved with student radio and student broadcasting as well. Just so many avenues that you're able to take, whether you're at Kansas State, or if you're at Iowa, or if you're at several of these further esteemed broadcasting schools like Arizona State or Missouri or Syracuse. So many opportunities around. You just got to dive in deep and be comfortable. Know a lot more about you know your surroundings a little bit more as well, and just see where it goes. Just see where it goes. I don't know if that's the best. If that's the best I can think of on my mind. I didn't really think too much of that, but it's just really been more of an observational standpoint for me as well. Just be curious, know what's going on, and um, I mean that's kind of journalism 101, isn't it? Right? Just being more observational, ask questions, because those are the kind of stuff that'll help you expand your perspective on a whole lot of things in this world for sure.
Yeah, I think I would absolutely agree with you. You hit the nail on the head, especially that last point you made there. Just be curious and ask questions, and the opportunities. Just saying yes is absolutely a huge
And
thing.
yes, that there you go. Say yes to several of these opportunities. It has helped me without a doubt, for sure. And it just can I always get more and more excited just continue to build on my resume, and I just I see the joy knowing how many stuff I've continued to cover throughout the years and how much stuff I've done in the past, and just knowing how much of an appreciation I have, it can go a long ways for sure.
Yeah, and we talked about this a lot earlier in the show. We talked about networking connections is always huge. So I want to give you an opportunity here to give yourself a little bit of a plug, give a shout out to anything that whoever listens to this can go look at and check out your work afterwards.
Yeah, so I have let me think. I got a whole arsenal of stuff. But you guys can follow me, John Grove 02 on Twitter, or on X as the kids say these days. I'm also John Grove 02 on Instagram. If you guys want to follow me there. I think John Grove 02 might be my Facebook page too, but that's more for the oldies as well. So shout out to them. Um, We'll have I do a sports talk show every Monday night on Wildcat 91.9. It's called the Cat Attack. We'll touch a lot on the Big 12, what's happening there, and what's going on with K-State and K-State football, K-State basketball, maybe some women's basketball, maybe some baseball if the opportunity is there. So yeah, that's been a blast, and also get to go over to GoPowercat as well. We just finished a 75% sale in terms of hopping on as well. So if you want to join in on the action, John Grove, yours truly, Tim Fitzgerald, Ryan Gilbert, Grant Snowden, Cole Carmody, a whole gang there writing all kinds of sports article content, and we also got a YouTube channel as well, and GoPowercat as well, where you can listen to all the game reviews, what's going on within K-State sports. So many, I mean, it's almost daily podcasts that you always encounter as well. So that's just one of a few things I have a whole lot of spectrum, a whole lot of stuff that you may be able to see. But Colin, it was a blast, man. It was a blast, and I'm glad we were able to make this work again as well. And I appreciate you for having me on.
Absolutely. I really appreciate you spending some time with me today. I'll make sure to link all that as well so people can check it out. But again, thank you for sparing some time for me, and I really enjoyed having you on the show.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Anytime for sure.
Thank you for listening to this episode of The Student Beat. Make sure to head down to the links provided and check out all of John's work. He's extremely knowledgeable, and as you can tell from this episode, a good listen. And if you want to stay up to date with all the coming episodes of the Student Beat, make sure to follow me on Twitter at C_Carithers33, or you can follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok at The Student Beat. We just walked The Student Beat. I'll see you next week for a brand new episode.